Good evening and welcome to the Candidates Forum presented by the League of Women Voters of Northwest Wayne County. My name is Valerie Nelson and I'm Vice President for Voter Service of our chapter's League of Women Voters. Tonight, we welcome the candidates running for Westland City Council. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. We do not support or oppose any candidate running for any office. The League does take positions on issues after careful study, so you may see our name attached to an issue that we are advocating for or opposing. Membership in the League is open to all citizens who are at least 16 years old, so if you're interested in joining this public service organization, please let us know. Membership applications are available on our website, lwvnorthwestwayne.org. The League's main mission is to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation in government. One of the ways we do that is by having forums such as this one tonight. The League has also prepared a nonpartisan voter guide, which can be found online at www.vote411.org. By typing in your voting address, you can view the races on your ballot and the candidates' responses to questions posed by the League. You can also find the link to the voter guide on our website, which again is lwvnorthwestwayne.org. Citizens who are not yet registered to vote can do so through Election Day. However, citizens must register in person at the Westland City Clerk's office if they are registering less than 14 days before the election. Also, anyone can now request an absentee ballot for any reason, and using that absentee ballot can vote by mail or in person at the clerk's office before 8 p.m. on Election Day. A mailed-in absentee ballot must be received by the clerk before 5 p.m. on the Friday before Election Day. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates and not of the League of Women Voters. I'd like to now introduce you to our chapter's treasurer and our moderator for tonight, Susan Rowe, who will provide you with more details about tonight's forum.
Unmute, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you, Valerie, and good evening and welcome to the Candidates Forum presented and produced by the League of Women Voters of Northwest Wayne County. My name is Susan Rowe, and I am treasurer of the League of Women Voters of Northwest Wayne County. I also am a moderator for this event. And tonight we welcome the candidates running for the Westland City Council. There are 13 candidates running for 4 positions in the Westland City Council seats. 8 candidates that receive the most votes in the August primary will be on the ballot for the November general election. Holding a candidates forum by Zoom poses challenges different from an in-person forum. Only League personnel and the candidates are present at this forum. We solicited questions from the public in advance so that we could ask them at tonight's forum. Questions were screened for clarity, and those which included personal attacks on a candidate were eliminated. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates and not of the League of Women Voters. All qualified candidates were invited, and 12 of them are here tonight. All the candidates have agreed to the forum for tonight's to the format for tonight's forum, which is as follows. Each candidate will be allowed a 1-minute opening statement, a 1-minute response to all questions, and a 1-minute closing statement. The order that candidates speak for this recording of this forum were pre-polled and set. We will rotate the order of the candidate who responds to a question first. League member Valerie Nelson is recording this forum tonight, and Carrie Moon Dupree is our timer. She is also our newly elected president of the League. She will be holding up cards so that the candidates know when their time is up. The candidate must stop when the stop sign appears. And now we will get started with our forum for this evening. We will begin our opening statement with Mr. Powell. Remember, you have 1 minute. You can begin now.
Thank you. And thank you for hosting this event. A little bit about me. I'm a 35-year-old Army veteran who served as a military police officer. After my military career, I worked in IT, both as a small business owner, and now I work for a Fortune 500 company. I have a degree in criminal justice from Purdue and a degree in information technology from Lindenwood University. I could give you a detailed plan on what I want to do if you elect me, but the truth is that no one person can enact a plan on their own in the city council. So instead, I'll give you the 3 principles that guide how I'll vote if elected to city council. Number 1, less government. There's no reason we should be licensing our dogs or getting permits for yard sales, for example. Number 2, less regulation. Get the city out of the way of new businesses and investments, and let's get some new industries and encourage new ideas. And number 3, lower taxes. Compared to surrounding communities, our property taxes are higher than many of the areas around us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Mr. Godbout?
Thanks. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to address the residents and voters in Westland. I'm Councilman Jim Godbout, and I've had the honor to serve on the Westland City Council for over 21 years. During my time on the council, the city has increased its unallocated fund balance, made significant strides in upgrading our technology, made improvements in our recreational facilities. The past several years have seen the cleanup and remediation of Central City Park, including new soccer fields, the Farmers Market Pavilion, Spray Park, and improvements to Tatton Park. We moved to an award-winning City Hall, built a new Fire Station 1, and made improvements to our police station. We've cleaned up neighborhoods, eliminated blighted buildings, and have attracted new businesses, but there's still much to do. I look forward to your questions this evening, which should demonstrate why having individuals with experience on city council is important.
Thank you, Mr. Cox.
Thank you. I also wish to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to share my views. When I first moved to Westland 35 years ago, I began becoming involved in my community in a variety of ways. I've served as a coach and an umpire for the Westland Youth Athletic Association. I served on the Wayne Westland Board of Education and also several boards and commissions in the city. I'm currently the serving president of the Wayne Westland Board of Education in my 4th year. And I'm running for city council because I believe that the city has before it a tremendous opportunity to reinstall the recreational programs that we once enjoyed in our city. And that is the focus of my campaign. Thank you very much. And I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Haddad.
Hello, everyone. I also want to echo the sentiments of my fellow candidates. Thank you to the League of Women's Voters for having this event. And thank you to all of the other candidates as well for showing up. It's important for residents and constituents to be informed. I'm running for Westland City Council. And the reason why is I'm not like a long-term resident and I haven't lived here my whole life. I moved here when I was in college and I really love Westland. I have experience in city councils. I worked for the Dearborn Heights City Council. I worked for the clerk's office as well, and the comptroller's office. I have experience with working with budgets. I have experience working with employee pensions and benefits. Experience working with elections offices and multiple city offices. I have a lot of experience working with city government. And now that I moved here to Westland, I want to bring that experience to the city that I love. I want to make this the city that I live the rest of my life in. I want to raise my family here. And I want to be part of the success and the changes that I think are going really well so far here in Westland. Thank you.
Ms. Fowlkes.
Good evening. I'm running for a seat on the council because I truly believe that my education, my maturity, my experience being on various boards and commissions throughout the 39 years that I have lived here in the city of Westland is what Westland needs at this critical time in city government. We'll be facing several challenges in the future and needs leadership that is knowledgeable of city government and is fully committed to growing this city and maintaining the services that we all know and love. We're currently enjoying about compromising our financial position. As a council person, you're elected to make those decisions and to work with your colleagues on the council and also to work with the mayor for the good of the city and for the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Austin?
Hi, my name is Sarah Austin, and I also would like to thank the League for all the time and effort that they've put into ensuring our residents are informed voters through events like this evening. I'm running for Westland City Council to make a difference in my community. As a wife, mother, homeowner, and active community member, I feel it's important that every resident feels their voice is heard, their opinions and perspectives are represented in every matter considered by government. I have the leadership experience, passion for making a difference, business background, and a desire to ensure that everyone has a place on the table that's required to serve our community. I've been active in the Westland community for over a decade. I've been a Westland area JC for 14 years. I served as president of the JCs in 2016 and state president of the organization in 2020. Professionally, I'm a senior international mobility specialist, which requires me to balance both legal compliance regulations as well as working directly with employees. It's these skills that I feel are key for a local leader.
Thank you. Mr. Delph?
Good evening. My name is Michael Delph. I'd like to thank the Leagues of Women's Voters. This is a great opportunity. This is a great thing that they're doing. I've been a resident for over 22 years. I work for the city of Farmington Hills, been with them for over 25 years. I ran for city council 2 years ago. And after that election, I continued going to the council meetings and study sessions and sat down with the mayor and discussed the authority recycle program that I was part of a project in the city of Farmington Hills. The experience I can bring to the table, I would love to discuss through the whole campaign. There's a whole list of mass water storage, authority program, ways we can save money and lower our taxes for the city. And I would appreciate your vote and your support with the stuff I can bring to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Herzberg?
Thank you. I also want to thank the League for putting on this event and actually for doing a video this year. That's something out of the ordinary, but I think it's a great way for people at home to get to know the candidates and they can come play it back. So again, my name's Peter Herzberg. I'm running for re-election. I've lived in Westland my whole life, always in the same neighborhood right by the mall. I graduated from John Glenn and I went on to receive my Bachelor of Science in Business Administration degree with majoring in finance from Wayne State. I've worked in the field for several years. In 2016, I got elected as the youngest council person in Westland history, and I'm proud of that. I've attended the budget meetings, council meetings, and study sessions since 2010, and I think that would be my biggest qualification and any qualification that I look for in a council person. I look forward to sharing my plans. My time is running out already. Looking forward to the questions in a good forum. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Martin?
Hi, my name's Antoinette Martin. I'm a retired financial planner from Ameriprise. In 2018, I sold my business and retired. Through the last 30 years, my husband and I have been actively involved in Westland, both politically and socially. We were active members in the Westland Chamber of Commerce. I am currently the treasurer of the Rotary Club, which does a lot of great things for the city. My background as a financial planner brings me a lot of skills that I believe will take me far as a council person. I'll be able to do a deep dive on a budget because I know what a budget is. And as I knock on doors and talk to people, I find that there are a lot of issues with the residents that need to be addressed. I hope that you consider me for the August primary because I believe that I bring the experience necessary to be to use my financial planning skills and hopefully help the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hart?
Thank you and good evening, everyone. And thank you to the League for putting this on, as everyone else has said. My name is Jim Hart. I'm the current City Council President for the City of Westland, running for re-election. I'm a family man. All my children go through the Wayne Westland School District, and I'm also a homeowner, so I have a lot of stake in the game. I have a bachelor's degree in business management, and I just completed my master's at the University of Michigan's Dearborn's College of Business. I too am a 15-year Army veteran, non-commissioned officer, achieving the rank of Staff Sergeant. And I'm also a past president of the Westland area JC, so community is definitely rooted in my background. I also had the chance to serve as the chairman of the board of our Westland Chamber of Commerce and been active in that organization ever since. And I'm fully endorsed by all of our city unions, police, fire, and labor. I'm also recognized in my field. I work for Verizon Wireless, and I also have my small business, which I keep open to this day and run. And I've been published in Cranes and looking to lend my talents and experiences. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Halton.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Candi Halton. Let's see here. I am 7 years old. Y'all can hear me. Can you hear me well?
You are actually sort of fuzzy.
Not good. Let me relocate. How about now? Can you hear me a little better?
That is a little better.
Okay. So let me start over. My name is Candi Halton. I moved to Westland about 10 years ago. I have 2 children in the Wayne Westland school districts. They've been raised here in the Wayne Westland school district, so I'm really proud of that. I definitely have a vested interest into the community. My husband is a veteran, Army veteran, and I am so proud of him for that, for his service. I do want to thank the Women's League of Voters for having this forum where we can actively have a discussion and actively express our views for the city of Westland. I have a degree from Washtenaw Community College. I also have over 10 years of healthcare experience and grant writing, which I believe will be essential for a candidate that is going to sit on council. And I plan to use my experience, I plan to use my education, and I plan to
Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Hear you.
Okay. All right. We lost you, Ms. Halton. And
Can you hear? Okay.
Okay. Ms. Sampey.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you, League of Women Voters, for this opportunity. The City of Westland residents who submitted questions and all the candidates who came here tonight, everyone did a really great job. My name is Melissa Sampey. I'm a lifelong 3-generation Westland resident. My kids attended school here. My husband and I both grew up here, and we absolutely love the city. As an energetic leader and passionate problem solver and innovative thinker, I definitely see a gap in the female presence on council, and I'm running to share my talents in advocacy in Westland. I have a bachelor's degree from Eastern Michigan University in communications. I have more than 15 years of marketing, sales, and business experience, and I've helped many charities raise money as well. Although a newcomer this year, I've followed Westland politics for years. I've assisted in campaigns, and I've spoken to thousands of Westland residents, and I'm here to learn more about what our residents need. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we will now start the questions, and we will start with Mr. Powell for the first question. First of all, what are your priority issues facing the community of Westland? Excuse me. And how would you go about addressing some of the solving of these problems and priority issues?
Yes, so I applied to run for city council because every day when I drive home, I drive down Ford Road. And as soon as you go over the overpass from Canton into Westland, you can see a stark difference in the layout, the buildings or lack of buildings, and the empty lots seeming to be everywhere. So the 3 priorities that I said I would vote on are how I would fix that. I believe that there's been a lot of attempts from a lot of different businesses to build in Westland, but they've been blocked by various committees and the city government at various levels. So that's why I would like to reduce the regulations, reduce the city government. And then also I've talked to many business owners around Westland and surrounding communities who wish to be in Westland, but they say that the property taxes are too high. So they either can't build or the rent is too expensive. I've also spoken with many homeowners who are looking to sell, to leave Westland in my times knocking on doors because of the property tax issue. So those are the main issues and
Thank you.
my 3 priorities.
Thank you. Mr. Godbout, same question.
Thanks. Maintaining services while revenues remain flat or in a decline is probably our biggest challenge. The city needs to continue to invest in technology and new approaches that improve efficiencies while reducing costs. Making sure that we have adequate funding for not only now, but the future costs for our police and fire are a top priority. It costs a lot of money to run police and fire departments, and making sure that they're adequately funded, not only for now, but into the future is critical for the long-term success of this city.
Thank you. Mr. Cox.
Thank you. I think fundamentally one of the biggest issues facing Westland is we compete against neighboring communities for new residents and business investment. And we have to be the kind of a city where young families want to move. That's one of the reasons why I want to revitalize the recreational opportunities in town, because there just is very little for young people to do in Westland right now. And I think that we can make a drastic improvement upon that. I'm also concerned about the long-term costs of public safety. Moreover, our police and fire are expected to be very highly trained. They're going to be expensive, and we're going to have to define a way that going forward, the city has the security of knowing that we can hire these people.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Haddad? Same question.
Absolutely. I believe that our residents do in fact need some things to do and want to look forward to shop, dine, and have some fun in Westland. I will support right now, it's being investigated or researched, I should say, turning Marshall Elementary into a recreation center. I fully support that. I think our residents want something fun. I think that's a great idea. Supporting recreation, supporting our parks and green spaces. I want to see more community gardens and community focused green spaces. And another one of my main priorities is our library. I really love libraries. I really love books. I think students and adults should have access to knowledge and entertainment and all of the great programs that we have here at the library. And so I'm running on the millage as well. So please vote for me and vote for the millage. Before I even get elected into office, I want to make sure our library gets the funding that it's requesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Fowlkes?
Yes, my first priority is wrapping up COVID in the city of Westland. Even though the state is opening and everything seemed to be running smoothly, I'd like to see Westland be the #1 city in Western Wayne, or even the state for that matter, have the majority of our residents vaccinated. So that may mean that we've got to take it to those residents. Number 2, of course, is police and fire, making sure they're adequately funded. And I was happy to see that a social worker was added. I do believe in having those community officers. And last is the recreational facility. I've longed for a recreational facility for the city of Westland, something that looks like Canton's or even better. And I think we can do just as good with a facility like that. Done.
Thank you. Ms. Austin?
I would say that my first priority is making sure that all residents' voices are heard, acknowledged, and considered when we're discussing things at council. Westland is a very diverse community in multiple levels. We are extremely geographically diverse, and making sure that residents in all areas of our city feel that their concerns, opinions, and thoughts are being represented at council, I think is very important. Also include increasing transparency and explanation of some of the complicated issues that council deals with. I think that you should be able to understand what's being done with not necessarily having to learn all the inside baseball. And finally, improving the community feel and the sense of belonging in the city. We have a very diverse geographic area, but we're all Westland residents and we're all part of the same city. And so kind of building on that neighborhood feel and community activities like the movies in the park and things like that to build our community and our sense of belonging to the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Delph, the same question.
Thank you. Safety, police and fire, definitely number one. We have 79 policemen. We used to have 120. They're being overworked. They don't have their backup. Fire department recently hired 10 more people underneath a grant, and they're still way down on their counts. And we're going to lose these firemen. We can't figure out how to keep them because the grant's not going to last. The other issue is water bills, high water bills, which we can solve that problem with a mass water storage. Recycle, we can lower that too. That needs to go to an authority recycle program. And then we got to help our small businesses. You know.
Thank you. Mr. Herzberg, same question.
Thank you. It's hard to list all my priorities in 1 minute. I'm going to try to go real fast. Yeah, number one is going to be water bills too. I have to agree with Mr. Delph. That's something I've advocated for quite a few years. Something that other cities have done was build a water tower. They fill that tower during the non-peak hours during the night, and we get that lower rate. There's been a couple of cities that have saved millions per year by doing that. Other cities have done educational programs to make homeowners associations and businesses run their sprinkler systems during the night and outside of those non-peak hours. So that's something I really want to get going on in the next term. Another thing I want to look at is to expand the recycling program. We recently adopted a new millage with the idea to recycle. The problem is that businesses right now and a lot of the large condo associations are not able to have curbside recycling. So I think we do need to explore how we can accomplish that in the next term. Recreation, I'd like to see the city lease out Macy's at the mall. There's a large space. It would be cheaper to build out. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Martin.
Well, after walking around Westland, and I have to agree with this, what I've heard a lot of people talk about was the mall, that the mall is about 30 to 40% empty. And because it's 40% empty, the mall has also asked for decreases in their tax base, which has always been the reasoning that we kept a mall, is that it was a good income producer. As time goes on, we have to make decisions about what's going on in the mall. And I know that we don't own the mall, but I do believe that as a city council person, that we should be actively involved in what should become of the mall. And those people that own it should be sitting down with us and talking to us. The second thing that I agree with Mr. Herzberg is the water rates are really out of control. I always get crazy around sprinkler time because my water bill doubles. They talk about we have infrastructure that we have to fund. My question is how much do we have to keep in a fund balance so we're safe on both ends? And lastly, police and fire. They, as someone already mentioned, that the police and fire are down for the last 15 years.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Thank you. Mr. Hart.
Thank you. You know, as you look at all these priorities, I think you can lump a lot of it into services. As my colleague had mentioned earlier, our priority is to get trash out, make sure that we take care of everything else, but maintaining those. Services continue to go up. The cost of recycling has gone up, and the citizenry has come out and passed that millage. But being able to maintain those and maintain fiscal responsibility is very important. We've been very active in taking advantage of the market lately, being able to refinance a lot of our legacy costs to not only continue our drive forward, but also protect all of the pensions and legacy costs for our police and fire, so that not only can we retain, we can look at finding ways to adding them to and continue to build our police and fire. But outside of that, I'm a big advocate of recreation. I think everybody knows that. It's part of the JC mantra, so I'm really behind that. And also business development. There's a lot of things we can talk about, but doing the smart things to be able to push down the right dominoes first to create that business development that we're looking for. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Halton.
Hello. So a few things that I believe that we can do to bring in community engagement is to begin to include the community, whether we survey our residents here in Westland, so that way they can feel more involved in the decisions that council make, because our goal is to be in the best interest of our citizens. Another thing that I would like to see happen is to have a rec center that's in the central location where the residents that's closer over in the Annapolis Park location will be able to benefit from those resources. So it'd be really great to see funds advocated in that direction from the CARES Act to include all residents of Westland when we decide to build a rec center. So I don't want it genuinely in the location where one side of Westland receives all the assistance. We need to include the other side of Westland that don't actually get the resources that are available. So those will be a few of the things that I would like to see change to bring in more families, since families are moving out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Holden. Ms. Sampey.
All right, well, a lot of people said exactly the same thing I was thinking. I think we all have like minds, but I think coming out of a pandemic, we really need to kickstart our local economy. So I know it was mentioned, but the mall and what's going to happen with that. So I've often said to my family, it'd be great to bring a sports complex at the mall, you know, and have businesses and other supporting businesses around it. But with the American Recovery dollars coming, I think we need to invest in the city, address the vacant buildings, support our public safety, and give them the tools and equipment they need. As a mom of an athlete, I support the development of the rec center, bringing youth and senior activities. I also believe there's a lack of things to do, in addition to supporting low-income residents and possibly opening up some food bank and food assistance programs that really address some low-income residents and the support that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, we will start with Mr. Godbout. And currently, the population of senior citizens is on the rise as us baby boomers are aging quickly. What more do you feel could be done in the city of Westland to enhance more seniors moving into Westland and continuing to stay in Westland?
It's a great question. We've got some great programs currently in Westland. We have actually two distinct senior programs. We have the program operated by the city out of the Westland Friendship Center, as well as the one operated by Wayne Westland Community Schools, operated out of the Dyer Center. Both have different ideas as to how to support the seniors in this community. And I think we need to work closer with those organizations and with those both groups to try and find more things for senior activities to do. A big issue with senior transportation is with transportation, getting to and from these facilities for recreation or for social gatherings. And I think looking at Nankin Transit and potentially expanding their role in helping would help the seniors. Thanks.
Same question, Mr. Cox.
Actually, we're back to the focus of my campaign, which is recreation. True, Westland has a growing senior population, but these are active seniors. These are seniors that are out and they want things to do. And I think the city has to be the organizing entity that can help bring that about. The business community, the school district, and the city all want this, but it has to be organized. And I think it needs to be organized around a recreation program that allows seniors to continue to be active. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Haddad.
Thank you. I will also prioritize helping the Friendship Center. I think that they have a lot of great programs and a lot of great resources that I think that we should expand on and support. I also agree with some of the other candidates on what they said in making sure that we get resources to all of our neighborhoods and every single part of our city. Our seniors aren't just centralized in one location. You know, they live all throughout our city. And when we get the best parks and the best services in every corner and every neighborhood, then everybody has the best opportunity to actually access them. I 100% agree with that sentiment. And I think that what we need to do is make sure that we have a recreation center, that we have the support for the centers that already exist for seniors to do activities, and make sure that we keep all of our residents in mind with the activities in the future that we plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Fowlkes?
Yes, I believe we need to target the senior citizen population in Westland more than we're doing now. It's okay to just say, yeah, we have a senior citizen place and you can come, but to be welcomed is a different story. And I've talked to lots of minority seniors, and I am one too myself, but the older, they don't want to come because they do not feel welcome, for one. Number two, they don't have the transportation. A lot of them could benefit for it, but they just have no means to get there. So I think that we need to revamp how we're advertising this and give it some sort of welcome to those seniors, and I think they will come. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Austin?
I think one of the key components here is making sure that we have active senior programming that meets the seniors with what they're looking to do. My parents, who are in their early 70s, are very involved in lots of different things and like doing things. And we need to make sure that what we're offering encompasses the entire range of seniors we have in this city, because people are retiring and becoming active in their communities much earlier in their retirement years. And we need to make sure that we're offering a variety of programming, as well as activities across the city and not just on that core main corridor throughout the city, because we have seniors throughout our entire community. The other thing is, I think that we should look at creating some kind of partnership with seniors and our up and coming young professionals. Many times these seniors have retired and still have a lot of business information to share. And we have up and coming young professionals in our community that could definitely benefit from that type of mentorship.
Thank you. Mr. Delph?
Thank you. City our size, we're not doing enough. We need more programs. I talked to the seniors, the older adults. The Friendship Center, there's not enough there for them to do. We also need to put other locations, southeast side of the city, not just in one area. We need to consult our current Commission on Age and get better programs. The Mills and Wills program, they do that during the week. The weekends, our older adults that are staying home, they need help. And transportation, that's another big complaint. We need to improve our transportation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Herzberg?
Thank you. To attract seniors and to support the seniors, I have to agree with everybody else. Number one, we got to expand the programming. I also think we should establish new support services. What I find is that there's a lot of retirees that stay in their homes, and a lot of them have to sell their homes because, frankly, they're unable to maintain the property, after a certain age. And I think if we did some support services to identify and reel those people in, we really build on the community that way to get volunteers out and to help them stay in their homes a little bit longer. Also, the seniors need to know that we're going to be a city that advocates for them. Elder abuse is becoming a huge issue in Michigan, and that's outside of the city's control, but we do have that issue here in Westland, and it does affect our response times. So, they're called for non-emergency transport to some of these nursing homes, and our fire department, EMS, are stuck there for a while. It does affect our response times. So I think that needs to be improved as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Martin, same question.
Well, being a senior myself, I can tell you that after COVID, everybody feels like they've been in hibernation. And I believe that our senior center does a great job of programming, and I'm looking forward to seeing it all come back to fruition. You know, it's been down for the last year and a half. And I think one of the things we should be doing, and Barb Markham is very good at it, is she allows other seniors from other communities to join us at our senior center. I don't really have another answer, except that I'm looking forward to all the community gatherings again, all the classes, and whatever else Westland has to offer now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hart.
Thank you. I think we're all on the same page about enhancing senior services. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. We've got a great opportunity coming up with Marshall, and we've been talking about this for a while. So, we're looking at, we're kind of have some more needs, and I think the Friendship Center can fill. And Marshall gives us a great opportunity to really be able to expand our programming and be able to partner with a number of different organizations to make sure that our seniors have everything and anything they could ever want. We also need to go ahead and work on make sure that it's accessible, right? So Nankin Transit Authority does a really good job. And I think with the great partnership we already have, and as well as candidate Martin said, opening up to other people, and Nankin Transit does reach out to other different cities in our area. So being able to bring in and be able to support them all with the great guidance from Barb Markham. If you haven't had a chance to sit down with Barb Markham, I encourage you all to do it because she's actually one of the best in the industry. And other than that, working for seniors is protecting their investments, and that's their home values here in the city. And that's what's really important to them as well. Thank you.
Ms. Halton.
Hello, thank you. So back in 2019, before my father passed, he was a senior here in Westland. And one of the things that he complained about before his death was that there culture divide programs that were available for him. And that was something that he had an issue with, is that every time he came to the Friendship Center, that there wasn't anything that made him feel more personal, and it wasn't culture driven. It was more so, what people felt like seniors should actually do without actually getting their input into what they should do. And so this time around, I'm hoping we can maybe get more than just one or two senior facilities where our residents will be able to engage one with another. I'm hoping we can kind of get some diversity in that and also get their input so that way we can include it to make sure that it's inclusive for all.
Thank you. Ms. Sampey?
So I guess I'm just going to echo what everyone else said. I also feel that we do have senior activities. We have bike paths, we have walking paths, but I do think most importantly, if Marshall opens up, I do think we have an opportunity to bring youth and senior activities together. So similar as candidate Austin said, I would love to see like a buddy program. My son who's 14, he loves seniors and he loves helping out. So I'd love to see how we can incorporate our youth and helping our seniors and getting them connected. In addition to seeing some senior homes for retirements, I have been knocking doors and speaking to a lot of seniors. And again, protecting their home value is extremely important, but also having an opportunity for them to retire in a community living or a facility that allows them to retire in a nice way, that they don't feel they have to upkeep a home. So I think that's all I have to say about that. And thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Mr. Powell.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to echo something that Ms. Halton said, is we should listen to what the seniors have to say, because I've spoken to many around the community that seem to think that no one's actually listening to what they want. They're just giving them what they think they want. I do believe lowering taxes would be a good way to help the seniors as well. I have a neighbor, he's 83 years old, but he still has to work a part-time job because he has to pay his taxes. And he says he can't afford to on his retirement otherwise. I think that would be something that would definitely help the senior community. Also, bringing in new business is good for everyone, including seniors, because the market forces would dictate what would come to the city, which would be things that seniors would want, and along with everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the third question, we will start with Mr. Cox, and that is maintaining and improving our neighborhoods requires responsive and efficient use of community services. What changes, if any, do you think are needed for citizens to be proud of every neighborhood throughout Westland?
Well, of course, in order for citizens to be proud of their neighborhood, they have to take an active role in it. And I think one of the things that will improve life in this community is if we do things that attract people to our community. A lot of discussion tonight has been about recreation opportunities. And I think because everybody recognizes that there's several reasons that cities exist: to protect the citizenry through public safety, and also to be able to have things that individually we can't afford, but collectively we can. And I think that if we have that kind of a focus, I think the neighborhoods will rise right along with the rest of the ships in the harbor, if you will. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Haddad. Same question.
Absolutely. I would like to echo the sentiments of a lot of the candidates here tonight, which is actually getting input from the community and the people who will be involved. I'm fully support community-led green spaces and gardens. And what that means to me is actually each neighborhood getting involved and getting some resources to make their neighborhood and their green spaces match exactly what they want and look the way that they want it. Oftentimes with cities, the city has good intentions and say, well, let's change around the way that this park looks, or let's try to make this green space a little bit different. And it might not be exactly what the community wants or that neighborhood specifically wants. So I want to make sure that we actually do protect our green spaces, that we do maintain our parks, and that we do have resources to each neighborhood, but that the people who live in those neighborhoods actually do have input as well. So I want to give those resources out, and I want to be active in helping the neighborhoods, but I want that to be completely community led and driven, so the neighborhoods can speak for themselves for what they want. Thank you.
Ms. Fowlkes, the same question.
Yes, I think that we need to let the individual neighborhoods, pockets of the city, know that their areas are just as important to the city as maybe some of the other areas in the city. And I also think that we need to continue with the community partnership that the police is doing around the city now. And instead of just being for police related activities, I think that we should ask our neighborhoods or the neighbors, what do you want? What would you like to see the city have for you? So by taking it to them and going to them and asking them, that's the best way to do it, instead of putting things together that they may or may not want.
Thank you. Ms. Austin?
I think echoing what everyone's been saying is getting the community involved in their neighborhoods. A program that's run in one of our neighboring cities in Garden City is the Operation Fire Up, where community members come out and paint fire hydrants and note fire hydrants that need to be brush cut back and things like that. And by having them involved in the process, they take ownership in their communities, and you have that type of community feel. And I think it's also, as we said, important before we start planning things in communities to talk to neighborhoods about what they want. A good friend of mine is a city planner with the city of Detroit, and he told me the absolute worst thing you can do is walk into a neighborhood you don't live in and say, this is how you should do it. And I think that by working with our communities and getting what they want and their buy-in will help with not only the implementation, but the continuation, the upkeep, and that community feel of looking out for our neighborhood and making sure people aren't doing things they shouldn't be at our parks.
Thank you. Mr. Delph, same question.
Thank you. First off, the beautification committee hasn't been filled in forever. And that's something that the mayor and council, they should have been keeping that filled. I would definitely have that filled right off the get-go. Our sidewalks, keeping that up to date, repaired, and going around the trees that are dying around here are being cut down, not replaced. We need to replace the trees, and we need to have more programs in the parks to get people involved with green stuff and beautifications and just educating people and getting them excited to do things. And that would bring a lot, but definitely a beautification committee would be a start.
Thank you. Mr. Herzberg.
Thank you. So from my experience, I would say that from everybody I talk to, they are proud from Westland. You know, aside from the few of the regular complaints we get, people are proud to be from Westland. But, you know, there are areas to improve. We had some planning sessions within the last couple of years. We identified several areas around town that don't even have sidewalks yet. And, you know, now there's talk of we're going to spend money and do a bike lane on a street where you can already ride your bike down it. And I think that really ticks off the residents when, you know, their neighborhood doesn't have sidewalks and we're double investing over here, you know, in a big voting block precinct. So, you know, I think we just need to spread out the spending. We do need to focus on the individual neighborhoods. I think council members and the mayor should be regularly visiting each neighborhood to stay on top of the issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Martin, same question.
I believe when we start talking about maintaining our communities is we have to pay attention to our neighbors. I live on a street of several retirees and they become ill and they're not able to get their grass cut or they're not able to do anything, and that we should be sensitive to what's going on with these people. What happens is you don't know unless you ask. And we have a, what is it, click it to fix it in the city, but I believe people should be knocking on the doors and making sure everyone's okay first. As far as communities, I live right next door to Holiday Park and the community works. It's a beautiful place because everyone is involved. So not only talk to your neighbors, but make sure that what's supposed to happen is happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hart, same question.
Thank you. So we've heard from a number of people. Community involvement was important. Making sure that we're investing in our neighborhoods is important, and working together. Well, I got some good news for everybody. We just did that. A couple colleagues and I moved together on this budget, a $10,000 grant. If someone could mute their, I'd appreciate that. So we worked together on community grants. There'll be $500 grants available to communities in those green spaces that was brought up earlier for improvements in your neighborhood. So you'll be able to go up and come up with a plan, produce it to council, and we'll be able to go ahead and pay you back for the investment and neighborhood improvements that you want to do in your neighborhood. So exactly what everybody said, we just did. I'm really excited about that. Look forward for everybody's involvement on that, and we're moving forward with it. So thank you so much.
Forgot to unmute. Ms. Halton, the same question.
Thank you. One of the things that I noticed in the neighborhood that we don't have a neighborhood cleanup. And I believe as we begin to embrace different community activities, it's really great to have our neighborhoods work together. And that doesn't mean that we have to do the full beautification of our neighborhoods, but if we come together collectively as a neighborhood and actually just whether it's just walking down the street, picking up debris, or whether it's pulling some dead debris, like you were saying, from other residents' homes who are not able to actually upkeep their homes because they either fell ill or whatever their situation may be. I just believe that if we come together as a community, begin to do some of these things, we can begin to engage on a lot of different other things. Another thing that would be really great to see is to see neighborhood gardening programs, and we can look into that for the youth as well. I believe the youth should know how to grow their own crops. So I believe that's really informative, something we can do together as a community. Another thing is like, I believe Mike Delph said is that we should have a—
Thank you, Ms. Halton, your time is up. I'm sorry. Ms. Sampey?
Thank you so much. So I also was at the budget session that that was discussed, the neighborhood grant program. I think that's awesome. I'm so excited about that as well too. And I know that the mayor has done a neighborhood makeover program that's targeted all 50 neighborhood districts, which I think is amazing. I would love to see some community forums. I love that our park cleanups are happening. I think we can get our youth involved in that as well. And in addition to working through our neighborhoods and just having our citizens more involved in kind of a neighborhood cleanup. I live in a homeowners association, and we have people that volunteer, and we just walk through our neighborhoods and talk to our neighbors. So I definitely would love to see that possibly in the future, and create that kind of neighborhood watch program as well, and keep it very hyper local.
Thank you. Mr. Powell.
Yes, I wanted to echo a few things. One thing Mr. Delph said was to fill the beautification committee. I think that would be a good way to get input from citizens and figure out what they want to do. This past weekend, I spoke with the Westland Historic Village Park Committee, and they expressed regret that they weren't on a lot of materials the city passes out about parks, and their information wasn't included in many of those programs. Also, something Mr. Herzberg said, the lack of sidewalks. I live in a part of the city that doesn't have sidewalks, but every other house has a sidewalk, which doesn't really work very well when you're trying to walk down the sidewalk. So definitely look into spending more for that sort of infrastructure. Thank you.
Mr. Godbout.
Thanks. Councilman Hart already went into the grant program that we just funded in this upcoming year's budget. So I won't repeat that as one of my talking points. But several years ago, we had the ordinance officers assigned by districts within the city so that they get to know those neighborhoods and can see when things are starting to get into disarray. We've also done the neighborhood makeover program and are moving through the 50 neighborhoods throughout the city to make sure that those are being kept up and what issues are going on in those neighborhoods. The Click and Fix app is a great way for residents to report any issues that they have within their neighborhoods, as well as we just started the police forums in the various areas throughout the city to get the residents' feedback about, and obviously the biggest issue is speeding through the neighborhoods at all of those. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Our next question will start with Mr. Haddad. And this is in regards to gun violence that seems to be on the rise in the communities. You as future city council people, what do you feel your role could be in trying to work with in the community, inform the community? How do you feel about your role as someone who can move a discussion on gun violence?
Absolutely. I think, excuse me, I think that city council, in partnership with some of the local businesses, as well as police and fire, should hold forums on gun safety to inform our citizens. So in terms of information, I think we should hold these public forums. I've seen some of them come up. Some of the candidates have mentioned police information sessions already. I think those are great. I think going into the neighborhood and actually talking to people is great. I think we should do something like that about gun violence. I personally believe that we should make sure that, sorry, excuse me, that access to guns is pretty strict to make sure that the wrong people who have harmful intentions don't actually get access to guns, and making sure that our community is as safe as possible, that our schools are as safe as possible, so that more children and more community members, unfortunately, don't face the same fate that is becoming a pandemic in this country. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Fowlkes, same question.
Yes, I think that maybe our police department would need to maybe do some sort of seminars or forums on gun control and what you can have and what you cannot have, what you can do and what you cannot do. I think we need to also take it to the high schools. People are turning 18. They need to know all of the rules and regulations of owning a gun, and pretty much just let the entire city know that we are a gun safe city. Maybe do a campaign on that, a gun safe city in Michigan. That's it for me.
Ms. Austin.
So I think that the first key component of reducing gun violence is focusing on mental health and de-escalation and supporting of conflict resolution and things like that, and making sure that our residents and our community has access to those aspects. I think it's also extremely important that we highlight gun safety, what you can and cannot do, what you should and should not do. But I think that at the core of it, de-escalation, making sure that our police department is focused on de-escalation tools as well. But at the end of the day, a lot of the rise in gun violence that we've been seeing is related to conflict resolution and more of mental health and depression and things like that that are the root causes of the problem.
Mr. Delph. Mr. Delph, you're muted. So Carrie, can you start his time once he unmutes?
Can you hear me? All right, thanks. We need to do more education. We need to be talking about it, not be quiet about it. It's there. We don't need to hide. We need to be talking about it. We need maybe to do even more programs in our city, a gun buyback program. Worked in other communities, worked very well. And our police goes back to that. They're way under manned. I mean, you can only have so many people out there. We have more police out there patrolling the areas, you know, it would help with identifying areas where there is a gun problem, and we can get ahead of it, be proactive. Thank you.
Mr. Herzberg.
Thank you. So I think the mental health issue that was brought up is probably the #1 thing that we could do to curb gun violence. You know, other things that we could do at the city level is really to build a better connection with our police department and the neighborhoods, and having that police presence really helps to curb crime. I mean, if you're a criminal and you are in a neighborhood where you know there's a cop doing a patrol regularly, you're not going to commit that crime. And right now our police department is really running from call to call. They're doing a good job, but we could definitely use more. We are a big city. The other thing that the police department has done was a ring camera network system where they're giving away ring cameras, and if something happens in the neighborhood, that'll go to the police department and they'll be able to track down who was involved and to catch them. So I think we do have work to do, but we are in process and doing a good job. Thank you.
Ms. Martin.
I believe what everybody said. I believe that we should start at 18 in high schools and teaching people about guns and gun safeties. I think families who own guns should all have lockers to lock them up. I don't want to just put it on the police to be the total educator. I think that we can expand on that to educators to help. And I agree that our police are overworked and understaffed. So if we're going to ask them to do something else, we need to help them out. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hart.
Well, thank you very much. It's important when we talk about gun violence. It's first of all, when we come about enacting laws, we know that's well above our pay grade as a local city council person. But we do have a voice. But candidate Austin brought it up perfectly. When you critical think these things, you don't want to treat the symptoms. You want to treat the cause. And the cause really simply is mental health and conflict resolution. Again, candidate Austin was right on point with that. And I think we need to make sure that we are critically thinking through these problems. But furthermore, I believe education is a very important component, and gun safety is a very important component, because once we take care of that root issue that was brought up, then we can start to expand on that. The Westland Police Community Partnership is a great organization that can work with us. And there's a lot of people like me. I'm a certified firearms instructor, and I'm happy to go in at any time and work with them in any way we can, reaching out to the kids. But it's a taboo subject. I think it's something the schools will have to reach out to us and make it okay to have these conversations. And I think that's where it's important.
Thank you. Ms. Halton.
Thank you. So I believe that gun violence is all about education. So I mean, even educating our children from elementary up to high school is going to be very important. The reason why is we now have a lot of children that are playing with guns. They see it on their television and it's being displayed as something that's being fun, and it's not fun. So we need to definitely educate our children, even in elementary school. We should start there. We also need to include mental health. Public safety is really good to have around as well, but like other candidates said, you begin to, stress out public health when you include them into everything. So they need our help. So having a public forum is necessary.
Ms. Sampey.
Thank you for this question. I feel very passionate about this. I know there's not a lot we can do at the local level in some ways of gun control, but I do feel we can work closer with our representatives to help move this issue along. I think every large city has major crime, but I'm going to put up our police force against any police department. I think with the full staff of police, gun violence still exists. But I would definitely love to see the city of Detroit does something called Project Child Safe. They give out free gun locks, and I would love to see if we could get this rolled out in Westland. In addition to, like others have said, gun safety really starts at home. It starts in the schools. It starts with education. So I'd love to see something like this kind of happening at a young age, similar to what others had mentioned in school education. So thank you very much.
Mr. Powell?
Yes, as a former military police officer and a member of the Army, I was around firearms a lot, and I also dealt with them in a law enforcement capacity. I think firearms education is a great way to reduce gun violence, partnering with organizations. The police could partner with the NRA, for instance, like they have in some communities to give firearms education classes. So if people know gun safety and how to properly handle a firearm if they find one. There's things such as amnesty boxes where if someone has an illegal firearm, they can turn it in without fear of being prosecuted. And also filling our police department back to its former levels would help a lot, help them respond to gun violence situations.
Mr. Godbout?
Thank you. Yeah, gun violence is a national issue and a national problem, and we're not immune to it here in Westland. As was previously mentioned, the lack of mental health care is probably one of the contributing factors. Education needs to be improved. We can work with the police department and the schools, I think, to provide some better education at an earlier age for that. The availability of gun locks, and I know at one point in time we offered a free gun lock program throughout the city. I'm not sure whether that's currently still in effect or not, but the most tragic things that have happened in the past several days have been the death of some innocent children because of guns that were left in the home and not locked properly.
And Mr. Cox?
I think in large part, one of the reasons we have been able to speak about recreation opportunities so much this evening is because fundamentally, we live in a very safe city. With 84,000 people, we enjoy excellent public safety services through our police department. And one of the tenets of my campaign was I would like to foster an improved dialogue between the police department and the citizens they serve. I think the citizens deserve to have a responsible and responsive police department, and the police department deserves to have the support of the citizens. And I think that all goes back to communication. And I think communicating with the police department on ways that can do many of the things that were talked about tonight, that's a great place to start and the right place for it on the local level. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next question, and it probably might be our last, we'll see though. And we'll start with Ms. Fowlkes. And this one is on regarding your community and your employees. They should reflect your community's attitudes and the diversity within your community. Do you feel that your current employees throughout your administration and those through the various departments do reflect the diversity of the community? And do you see how, if not, you have any way of improving that?
Yes, with diversity, as far as reflection in this community, I would absolutely have to say no, we do not have the diversity that a city of this size should have. When I first moved into Westland long time ago, I think the minority population with Westland was like 2%. And then over the 39 years that I've lived here, it has grown to be in the double digits, around 10 to 12%. So I feel that, yes, we should be offering diversity or hiring more diverse people so that it will reflect the community. Now, we are trying, and I am seeing some improvements in it. I'm not seeing it in the fire or the police departments because they just cannot find them. I've spoken to them about that several times. And I think that Mayor Wild is doing a good job of trying to put more employees in the city government. And also with the new diversity panel that's going up now, that's going to be great too.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Austin.
Yeah, so as an HR professional, diversity, inclusion, and proper representation is kind of one of my hot button topics that I love to talk about. I think that the answer to the question is no. Our city employees are not necessarily representation of our city. And I think that one of the key aspects of fostering a diverse and inclusive and fully representative employee and elected official population is making sure that we foster an environment that supports diversity and inclusion, and not just putting in new people, because we have to kind of change the platform and making sure that we're building up the platform to support the diverse perspectives, because otherwise what will happen is we will put in diverse and well-rounded perspectives. But if we don't have that foundation, those people aren't going to stay. So we need to start from the ground up. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Delph.
Thank you. Well, first off, job openings should be available to everybody in the community, and it should be posted where everybody can get to it and see it and have a chance at the job. It shouldn't just be limited to certain areas or certain people. Every resident, every person should have a chance at the job. We have to start off by posting our jobs correctly. Papers, at City Hall, everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Herzberg.
Thank you. So I've always believed that everybody deserves a voice at City Hall, and the best way to do that is to have a diverse group of people working at the city level to represent every neighborhood and every person. Something that we need to do, the city does need to diversify the city workforce, and this has been talked about for years and it just hasn't happened. We do continue to see jobs open up. They're filled within a few days, and oftentimes it's somebody's friend or sometimes a relative of a current employee, which is common at a lot of organizations. You hear about the job and you apply for it. But as was just stated, I think Mr. Delph said, that posting needs to go out to the whole community. A lot of people need to apply to it before we close that and fill the position. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Martin.
The answer to the question is no, our employees do not reflect our current population. One of the things that's being worked on in the schools is to have mentoring programs. Since our minority population in our schools is larger than our community population, and possibly what will happen is these children will see that Westland is a place that they want to work, and they get the training and the support from business owners that and the city to want to stay and work here. Other than that, I have to agree with everyone else that no, we do not have a diverse workforce. Thank you.
Mr. Hart.
Thank you. I think I echo everybody's comments. You know, if you look at our workforce as a representative of our cultural and socioeconomical makeup, I would say no. And I would agree with, again, candidate Austin, who took the words right out of my mouth. We need to work as a city to foster an environment of inclusivity and diversity. And I think we're doing that right now. Our council voted unanimously to support our new DEI board, to support all of our proclamation about racism being a public health crisis, and now supporting the DEI director. We have to take a positive forward stance and be united in that. Going forward, not having people of color represented in some areas like police and fire is not a Westland issue, it's a national issue. So as long as we foster that environment here where it's supportive, we can work with the schools to be able to create these programs so that these young men and women see this as a real career opportunity, and they know they can do it right here in our city. So I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Halton.
So just like the other candidates indicated, no, I do not see DEI being expressed throughout our entire city. But what would be really great is to see the DEI commission and be inclusive. So it'd be really great to have that commission, have people on there that kind of look like me or look like other minorities that live here in Westland. And another thing I've noticed as well is that if we begin to adopt a process where when people do hire people, that maybe there can be a neighborhood of people that actually sit at a table that can begin to do some of the training and interviewing. I believe that we can begin to see diversity on administration level. Thank you.
Ms. Sampey?
Thank you for the question. So I haven't met every city employee. We have over 300 city employees, so I haven't seen a pie chart, or I don't know how people are hired in. But I do feel like ethnicities really isn't black and white. So I think, you know, how we can move forward also is including more female voices on council. I know this council race is obviously diverse, but I would definitely love to see a female fill that spot. There's going to be a spot vacated and an open spot, so I definitely would love to see another female voice added. Like Council President Hart did say, there is a DEI director, so I'm very excited to know that that is in place. And I would love to see a full diversity training for city employees. So I think the training could be implemented so we recognize any crisis moments that we need to escalate. So thank you very much for that question.
Mr. Powell?
Yes, thank you for the question. I would like to also echo Mr. Delph and Mr. Herzberg's sentiments that there seems to be a lot of nepotism in the current job filling system in the city. So I believe we need to make sure we post those jobs for everyone to be able to apply to equally. This is also a close issue to my heart. I actually have an Asian stepson, so I've been sort of worried about him because we've all seen what's happened to recently with minority Asian populations, especially with COVID. So I just think as long as everyone gets an equal opportunity and an equal shot, that we would be able to diversify things naturally. Thank you.
Mr. Godbout?
Thanks. No, our workforce in the city of Westland is not as diverse as we'd like it to be. And we've recognized that fact. You know, we adopted a DEI resolution establishing the first Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Commission. We've now funded a DEI director to help with furthering diversify. We've come a small way in diversifying our workforce throughout the community, throughout the city, but we still have a lot of work to do. And I think that the steps that council's taken so far are steps in the right direction. And we need to continue to try and find candidates to come to work for the city and actively recruit minority candidates. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cox?
Well, of course, the short answer is no. We're not as diverse as we'd like to be, and it's an area that we can work on. And from the perspective of my role as president of the Board of Education, this is very important because, as someone said earlier, the student population in the school district, the Wayne Westland School District, has a higher percentage of a diverse background, both socially and ethnically, than the city at large. And these young people need to see people in positions of responsibility with the city. They need that kind of mentorship. They need that role model. And I'm happy that the city council has done what they've done to move in that direction. I think it's important for Westland and it's important for the kids.
Thank you. Mr. Haddad?
Thank you. As an Arab American myself, my parents, both of them were immigrants. My mom had to learn the language while she was raising me. That was very difficult. And she didn't have a lot of access to the city government. She didn't live in Westland. We lived in another city, but as someone who didn't speak the language, she didn't actually have a lot of access. She wasn't actually able to go in and talk about her water bill. or talk about some of the issues that were going on. She had to wait for one of her brothers or my dad to get home from work who actually spoke the language more. As an Arab American myself, I speak the language. I think that we need to vote for diversity and vote for people who represent the city and who look like people from the city who actually speak the same language as the people in the city. And I also think that we should support not just diversity in ethnicity and socioeconomics, but neurodiversity as well. I have Asperger's myself, and I would love to see the city work more with the neurodiverse community, including sensory parks. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we will go, I believe we have everybody. Yes, we will now start our closing statements. And as we said, we will be doing this in reverse order. So Ms. Sampey, you will be first up to give us your, oh, we lost my video. Were you able to hear me?
Yeah, I'm first.
Oh, yes, you'll be first with your closing statement.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So as I stated, I've lived in Westland for close to 40 years. The city has grown, technology has really changed everything. I really feel we need to adapt to this changing society and make improvements. Westland needs continued support with economic development, which we've heard here today, to attract businesses and the current infrastructure. I also feel like we need to bring essential services to Westland and all of our members of the community for young families to stay here. I will be a champion for working families, our seniors and youth. Now I really need your support. So in August, in November, I really hope that you'll bring a strong, hardworking female voice to City Hall. I know I don't have much time, but please feel free to call me on my cell phone, 734-637-2078, or you can visit my website at ivotemelissa.com. Send me a message. I hope to earn your vote, and thank you so much for your support, and thank you for this evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you. Ms. Halton, your closing statement.
I want to encourage the residents of Westland to elect city officials who have the power to progressively move the city forward and bettering our neighborhoods and our community, and including that we have diversity and equality and inclusion into everything that we do. If the residents want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me by email at candyhalton@gmail.com. You can call me at 734-620-1383. And that is it. Or you can follow me on Facebook as well, Candi Halton for Westland. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hart.
Thank you. I'd like to thank again the league for putting this on. I'd like to thank all the candidates who did show up. I think it's really important. So, you know, when you show up to the polls this August and November, when you do it at home, understand that education and experience is important. We've got an awful lot accomplished over the past 4 years while I've been on council, and I'd like to continue to do that work. And we've got some really heavy lifts coming up soon with the American Recovery dollars. We're going to have to make some really tough decisions to make sure that we put those dollars to use that not only benefit us in the short term and the midterm, but the long time running. Again, it's been my honor to serve as the council on the council since 2018. It's been my greatest honor to serve as the council president. It's been challenging serving during COVID, but I do thank my colleagues and everybody else for all the support you've given me. And I thank all of you who continue to reach out to me and give me support. Again, for a list of all my endorsements and my resume and everything else, citizensforjimhart.com. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you. Ms. Martin.
Hi, I'd like to thank the league for putting this on. This was very good and very educational for myself and for the citizens. I hope everyone gets out to vote early. And if they want to know more about me, they can look at my website, AntoinetteForWestland.com, or my Facebook page, Antoinette Martin for Westland City Council. And my phone number is 734-673-7249 if you have any questions. And I hope I earned your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Herzberg.
I'll also thank the league for putting on this forum. It was really, really beneficial, I think, for all the candidates to kind of get to know each other, hear each other's platforms, and see where we all have common ground. Because where we all have common ground, we all talked about the mall, we all talked about recreation, and I think that's what the community is going to want to see us do in the next 4 years. It's been a pleasure to serve Westland for the last 6 years. I look forward to continuing my service. I've attended council meetings, study sessions, the budget meetings for over 10 years, and it's given me firsthand knowledge on the city's finances and future outlook. So I look forward to earning your votes, and you can give me a call at 734-578-3412. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Delph.
Well, I'd like to thank the league, and I'd like to thank the residents that are watching this recording now. And I look forward to earning your votes and your support. I have ideas that can help lower water bills, help recycle. And this is stuff that I've learned from working 25 years with Farmington Hills and with a network we created with many municipalities through the city and across the nation, where we get ideas and better ideas how to do things. If you want to see a detailed list of my plans and what we have going, what I can bring to the table, you can go to the Facebook site at Michael Delph for Westland City Council, or you can go to my website, www.delphforwestland.com. And you can call or text 734-560-9274. And I'll answer anybody's questions. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Ms. Austin.
Yes, so once again, I want to thank the league for all the work they put into today, as well as all the other great information sharing events that they put on. A vote for me is a voice to ensure that every voice is heard and represented throughout all of the city of Westland. As a city of 20 square miles with over 80,000 residents in 3 different school districts, we have a very diverse community, and it's important to have representation from across that community. Every resident should have the opportunity to know what council is doing through transparency and explanation of funds and processes. I ask for one of your 4 votes in August and in November, because as a wife, a mother, an HR business professional, and a community leader, I am one who will represent all of the 80,000 voices here in Westland. Thank you. Oh, my phone number is 734-612-5055. And my website is sarah4westland@gmail.com is my email address. But you can also find me on Facebook.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Austin. Ms. Fowlkes.
Yes, thank you very much for putting this forum on for us. It's been very enlightening with everything everyone said. But I just want to say that this is, I guess, what you call like a watershed movement or time for Westland, with us coming out of this pandemic and people getting back to work and the city getting back to normal. And we were just giving the money from the American Rescue Act to be used to help Westland recover and move forward from the effects of the economic downturn. And we need a person who's common sense, who's pragmatic, who loves the city, who has a vision of what the city should be. We also need someone to reflect the committee. I'm sorry, not the committee, but the community. Someone with the diversity and also with the sex. That doesn't sound right, so I'll change that. It sounds like the diversity. And I'm hoping that you will give me a chance to show Westland to prove what I can do.
Thank you. Mr. Haddad.
Hello, everyone. Thank you to the League of Women's Voters. Thank you again to all of the candidates who showed up tonight. It definitely is important that we inform all of the people on what we believe and how we think we can move forward. I personally believe that I represent the community very well. I came here from another city, and so I understand what is attracting the young people to Westland and what's going to keep them here as well. I know I want to stay here. I support the family-owned businesses and restaurants. I want to do research into how we can fix the mall, including other resources and businesses, not just your typical ones. I heard a lot of great ideas, and hopefully we can work together on some of those ideas in the future. I have a lot of experience with city government, in the elections office, in the clerk's office, and the comptroller's office, with budgets, with audits, with employee pensions and benefits. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing, and I want to earn your vote. And I really want to make sure that Westland continues on the great path that it has been. and continue the great path forward together. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cox.
I also wish to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this on and for the organizational way that you presented this for us. It was very helpful. Thank you. When I first moved to the city 35 years ago, I decided to buy the home that I bought before I even saw it, because when my realtor drove down the street, I eventually bought my house on, there was about 12 or 13 kids on big wheels all going down the street. And I decided I want to raise my children where they had lots of friends, and my kids had a wonderful experience. They had many recreational opportunities and they were involved in everything. And kids in Westland today simply don't have that opportunity. And I think that's something we have the chance to change. We can change it right now, and we won't have to raise taxes to do it. I appreciate the support I've received from the citizens. You can reach me at 734-751-4940. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Godbout.
Thanks. I would like to once again thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to address the residents and voters in Westland. The city is about to receive over $25 million of federal American Rescue Plan funds. This funding can provide an impetus for improvements and growth within our community if properly allocated. Since serving on the council, I believe I've demonstrated the ability to understand the complex issues, offer innovative ideas, suggestions, and solutions, and build consensus. That experience will be crucial to ensure that the funding allocation is properly utilized. If you have any questions or concerns, I can be reached at 734-331-6665, on Facebook or Instagram at Councilman Jim Godbout, or on my website, www.jimgodbout.net. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to your support on August 3rd.
Thank you. And Mr. Powell.
Yes, thank you, as everyone says, for the League of Women Voters and the opportunity to speak. I just want to reiterate the 3 pillars of my campaign: less government, less regulation, and lower taxes. Those 3 pillars will tell you how I vote on any issue that may come up. I'm simply an average citizen that saw problems in my community and I want to take action to fix it. I took an oath to serve my country and its citizens when I joined the Army, and I don't think I'm done doing that. I hope I can count being one of your 4 choices for City Council and look forward to serving you. If you would like to know more about me, go to powell4westland.com. That's Powell, the number 4, westland.com, or you can give me a call at 734-331-6280. There you can find the links to all my social media accounts and get in contact with me. Thank you.
Thank you. That ends the questions and your closing statements for this evening's forum. And I wish to thank the League of Women Voter members who helped with this forum. The forum has been recorded and can soon be viewed on the League's website, lwvnorthwestwayne.org. We also thank the candidates who are running for office. They are asking for your support as they seek a job in the public service sector, and we hope voters will listen to their views. We also appreciate the voters in the city of Westland who will be watching this forum to learn about their choices on August the 3rd. All of these candidates were also invited to participate in the League of Women Voters Voter Guide, a publication that you can access online by visiting vote411.org. Primary election day is August the 3rd. If you are not registered to vote, you can do so up through Election Day. Within 14 days of the election, registration must be done at the office of the Westland City Clerk. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., but all registered voters can vote early by absentee ballots. Remember that you first must fill out and return an absentee ballot application to the Westland City Clerk before a ballot can be mailed to you. If you need an absentee ballot application, please contact the Westland City Clerk's office as soon as possible. This concludes our forum for this evening. Thank you again, candidates, for participating. Democracy is not a spectator sport, and you are showing that you are willing to get active in it and help the community of Westland be the all-American city that you say you are. So thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.